mountains when I'm ocean waves.
Well, today on Nova Legends podcast, I have two South Carolina Gamecocks women's soccer players, first-year players, and we're going to talk about the transition to college soccer. I have tied for my second favorite Yorktown player of all time, Yorktown High School player of all time, behind my own son and tied with Justin Melly, is Shay Montgomery. Back again, and good to see you, Shay.
Hi, nice to see you.
And I'm meeting for the first time Shae O'Rourke. That's might be a little confusing. We might have to go by last names here.
Yeah.
Shae is from, I guess, outside between Buffalo and Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
And like Shay Montgomery, Shae was the Gatorade Player of the Year in New York. She plays striker for South Carolina. Thanks for coming. Nice to meet you, Shae.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. So, well, let's talk to Shae O'Rourke about Buffalo soccer. You know, where Shay Montgomery's from, women's soccer has got a rich tradition in the DC area. I mean, Mia Hamm, Jill Ellis, the former coach of the national team. There's so many great players from Northern Virginia. It was like the first women's area of soccer that was like had produced so many great players. What is the soccer culture like, especially for girls in Buffalo, Shay? Is soccer big there? I know hockey is really popular in Buffalo.
Surprisingly, it is a big thing. We used to have a pro team. The Western New York Flash used to be a pro team, was sold to North Carolina Courage. So women's soccer was a lot bigger than men's soccer, especially growing up. But now it's like increased for men's soccer. But yeah, it's a huge thing. And in Buffalo, there's only one ECNL team. So we have girls from even like Pennsylvania, Rochester area who come in just to play for this one team in Buffalo.
Yeah, and I read on the team site that your mother was also a soccer player.
Yeah, I think it was D3 at the time and is D1 now. It's
right.
Niagara University.
Right. And like, so Shay Montgomery had an incredible high school team, and high school soccer, it's pretty big in the DC area. I guess it depends on what high school you go to and whether you have a lot of, good players and a good coach at your school. Is high school soccer big in Western New York?
Yes, it is. It's my school, preferably was like the team to beat. We went to states twice. We were upcoming. The school really never was big on women's soccer until a coach from my club team actually coached there, brought a bunch of girls because I played for a Catholic private school. Mm-hmm. So we were even the team to beat for public schools as well.
Wow. And so in New York, in the playoffs, do the public school teams and the private school teams play, or do you have your separate playoffs?
We have our separate playoffs. We just probably play them in the preseason, right. Maybe in between. But yeah, it's all separate.
Yeah, and also, who are some of your and I've talked to Shay Montgomery about some of this stuff. Who are some of your role models, and who'd you try to play like growing up? Who are your heroes, and some of your maybe some of your important coaches that you've had in soccer?
Yeah, Allie Riley was a huge one for me. She played on the pro team at the time when I was maybe 8 years old, and she role modeled like our team because each team had their own role model from the pro team, and she made me want to become a better player, but also a better person. She was always involved with the kids and wanted us to become the best players we could. That was one player. And then my coaches at Western New York Flash and even my high school really were focused on creating a relationship between the coaches and the players. And I think it was more than just like a business side for them, which showed me that soccer is more than just the sport itself.
Yeah. Well, Shay Montgomery, I had breakfast with Craig, your wonderful father today. We had a good time. So I got the inside scoop about everything. And I understand your nickname is Monty.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, why don't we just go back a little bit, and for folks who did not see our earlier interview, Why don't you remind folks a little about the clubs you played for, and even your high school team and your high school coach and those kind of things?
Yeah, well, I've had the, I guess, lucky opportunity to play for 3 different clubs throughout my high school career. Obviously, when I was younger, I started at Arlington, which wasn't ECNL or DA at the time. And then around, I guess, 6th grade, I decided I wanted to play for a top-level team. And although Braddock Road at the time wasn't ECNL, they were kind of the team that continuously kicked our butt every year. And I was like, that's the place where I want to be in. I love the coaching. And so I went there, and I played there all the way throughout my rest of my middle school and high school career when it was ECNL, up until my last year, where I followed my coach to his new club, BDA.
Yeah.
It was a busy high school career, but
Yeah.
high school soccer made a late comeback. Initially, my freshman year, that coach didn't let me play. Well, I guess it wasn't like he didn't let me, but we were encouraged not to, because our team that year was making a run at nationals. We were really highly ranked. Injuries are definitely prevalent when you're playing high school and club. It's a lot of overwork. And obviously sophomore year, I was really excited to play, but then COVID got in the way. And so I really didn't get into it until my junior and senior year, but I'm just so glad that I did. I can't preach enough that people should play high school soccer. I tell that to everyone I can, especially at home. There's a lot of Arlington teams that go back and forth with players. And I think it's the best message to play high school soccer.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Watching high school soccer, the passion, when Shay Montgomery knows my son, and a lot of the parents would just drop their kids off at games. There was nobody there, so even if the soccer was great, and clubs and club soccer, there was no one there. There was no emotion except for maybe the players on the field. But the thing about high school is you have the crowd, you have a loudspeaker, you have the starting lineups. It's just bigger news. Shae O'Rourke, was high school soccer the same for you guys? Did you guys have a crowd and it felt like it was just more emotion in the game than club soccer?
Yeah, there was definitely a lot more during playoff time, just because we were rivals with this one school, and it was this huge thing. Whoever won always just got that pride factor. And I think once a team wins, the school wins overall. Just a huge rivalry. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's
Very
competitive. That's like Shay Montgomery when Yorktown plays Washington Lee or Langley or McLean. It's just all the kids play club together, so it's huge. Mm-hmm. Monty, you mentioned ECNL. So when you look at the South Carolina roster, most of the women, were they former ECNL players, or the Girl Academy players? Were there, just a variety of different clubs?
There's a good mix. I think it depends. ECNL. I think it's more ECNL, especially the younger the people are. Some of the older ones, I think at the time DA was huge when they were 17, 18 in their recruiting process. So they had teams that were had been ECNL, were DA in the weird switch phase. But I think most are ECNL. Yeah.
ECNL is the top girls leagues. It's higher than GA right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, so let's talk about the transition to college soccer. Since we're talking about crowds and stuff, South Carolina is known for having great crowds at women's games. So at your games, do you feel the emotion? Are the crowds into it? Has it been a lot of fun? And when you go on the road, do you feel the opposite? Are the opposing crowds cheering hard for their teams?
You want to go first?
Sure.
Okay. I think the craziest thing was our first game against Florida State. That shocked me. I think we had somewhere around 5,000 people there. And
wow.
Honestly, when I got on the field, when you're warming up, I definitely noticed, when I got on the field, it was almost so loud and just so much going on. The game was so intense. I didn't even notice the people. Mm-hmm. We have this group called the Graveyard Shift, which is this group of people stand on the opposite side of our field that play drums all game. And I think that I always notice that. I can always hear the drums going, but sometimes I just don't even process there's people in the crowd.
Right. So it's not a negative thing. Go ahead, Shae O'Rourke.
Oh, I was saying even the Clemson game, that's a rivalry. Everyone's gonna be there. Mm-hmm. It also helps you going to other sporting events. So I think that crowd was just electric, mm-hmm. just the Florida State game. And we even see it away. We're a top team. Everyone wants to see their school beat us. Mm-hmm. They want that crowd. So I think it's been a pretty good mix between away games and home games.
So where does soccer fit? Obviously we all know that in the South, football American football is crazy, and
Yeah.
80,000 folks. They got all these athletic facilities for the players and stuff. Where does women's soccer fit? Do you guys feel like women's soccer is elevated and people really care about what you guys are doing?
Yeah, I think it was really crazy, like experiencing people recognizing that we were on the team and like knowing, like staying there at games, like especially like the first couple of weeks, people would like people who I didn't know like in my classes would be like, oh, like I was at your game last night, like and like that's just like was like so cool. Like I was just like, oh, like what? Like I put together that people were there, but I didn't like realize it was like people that'd be in my classes type of thing. I think that was super cool. And I think it's like also crazy that like we're on TV and like we do get a lot of publicity. The school does a lot to like get us like put out there, and like my friends will like send me pictures of me playing on TV. Like it's just like unreal. Like I feel like we get a lot of publicity, which is awesome.
I came home last week. I went to visit Chandler at UVA. Came home and you guys were on ESPN. I just turned ESPN on and you guys were playing NC State. I'm like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I see Shae out there. You had this the first second I watched it. You did you one touched a volley down the right sideline. I was like, oh, that's really cool. So how about you, O'Rourke? Do you feel the same way that soccer gets a lot of respect where you guys are?
Yeah, I think especially at this school, just because we're so like highly ranked, and I think that since we're building this huge program for us, Title IX, like everything, it all comes together, especially now. And I feel like what she said, like in classes, people are recognizing you as a player, and even on TV, like that's such a big deal that we're being recognized more now, like more and more.
Well, you mentioned Title IX. So I was just on Twitter today, just Googling random stuff. And South Carolina Title IX, and one of your teammates tweeted a picture of the television screen where you guys women athletes were on the field. And your coach, Beamer, I guess is the son of Frank Beamer from Virginia Tech. I guess there was an incident where you guys, Title IX is being recognized, and he's thinking about his next play, and he voices displeasure that a bunch of women are on the field being noticed for Title IX. Were you guys on the field, and what was going on at that moment?
Yeah. So I think we were less, like obviously it wasn't great seeing the clips of like him upset of us on the field, but like in his defense, and like he's done a really good job of reaching out. Like he's calling players, like calling our coaches, like trying to like express like how sorry he is, because I don't think he had any idea like what was going on. Like he's coaching the game, and there's people running like the events on the field, and like he's not told like what's happening on the field, which I completely understand. Like that clip was definitely taken out of context, but I think our main problem is like how the entire showing was. Like they tried to put like 200 female athletes on the field in like a 2-minute commercial break, and they had us walking on the single file line, and like I like stepped on, we were there for like 10 seconds, turned around, walked off, like getting yelled at. We were like, oh my goodness. I think we were more just frustrated with like, if you're gonna like do something to represent women, talk about Title IX, like do better than that. Like you can do better than that. Like I think that was like our main, like that's what Jalissa said in her tweet. She was like this just is like not good enough. Like we understand you want to represent us, but like let's do it in a like better way than this. Like I don't know.
It just like honestly couldn't have, like the screaming with Beamer, it wouldn't have happened honestly if we just had like even like the halftime show. Like we could have been that, or even the beginning of the game. I think just the timing was off, and it like showed our school just in more ways like of that we're not appreciating women's sports. It just showed that like
it felt very rushed.
There can be more done in the athletic department for sure.
Yeah, to be fair, they reached out with a super great email. Like they acknowledged like they had messed up. Like they were like, we're gonna do better than this. Like came out with a bunch of new like stuff they were gonna do to like talk about us and like show us to the people at school and stuff like that. So I think they're like doing a really good job of coming back from it. I think it was honestly just like a lack of judgment. Like it's not conceivable to put 200 people on the field in like 2 minutes. Like
it was a good idea to recognize at a football game.
Yeah, like that was cool. Like the whole concept of it was cool, and like we had been recognized before, but like the game before that, they put the women's soccer team on the field, just us. We like walked out during that same time period to be recognized for like doing really well at school for school soccer last year. But I think they like didn't put together that it was so many more people, and like it was just chaotic, honestly.
Yeah, look kind of crazy. So, well, yes, it just goes to show you how things can be taken. I don't see out of context, but how things can be blown up in made it look very bad. And so it was just, I guess it was just bad planning. But anyway, well, how's the adjustment been to being down south? South Carolina's in Columbia, I think, right? Yeah. So have you guys, has it been a big adjustment being in the South? O'Rourke here in Buffalo, Shae here in the DC area. Is it been your first experience down south, and has it surprised you?
Yes, like for sure. I mean, everyone says, oh, the heat, like you got to get used to it. But like once you're actually playing in it, it's a huge difference. Just the humidity here, like in the summer, we're playing in like the hottest time of the year. And I mean, they do that for a reason because honestly, a lot of girls are from the north on the team.
Mm-hmm.
So the heat was a huge thing for me just because I'm far up there. I'm far north. I'm not used to that. And getting used to like hydrating as much as like I didn't think hydrating was that big until like I got here and was like, I need 10 times the water. I need 10 times more like fitness. I need all this just to make it through the heat. And I think that was just like the biggest adjustment for me for sure.
Yeah, I think the biggest. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Monty.
Okay, I was gonna say 3 p.m. Sunday games. The concept of them doesn't sound very bad, but I've never loved a 7 o'clock game more in my life. Like 3 p.m. games at Sunday. Columbia is very weird. Noon is not the hottest time of the day. Noon could be 80 degrees. 1 p.m. is 83. 2 p.m. is 84. 3 p.m. it just gets hotter and hotter and hotter until the sun goes down at like 6 or 7. And so you're kind of in that peak heat wave. And it's also being the second game of the week. It's just like very much double whammy. Like your legs are sore. Like you've probably been traveling. Like you're in the heat. I think that has like been the biggest like mental adjustment of just like getting through it, and also like being aware of like how to prepare, like what to eat, what to drink, like timing. It's just I've learned a lot about like myself as an athlete of like what I need exactly. Like I have it down to a T on game day now. Like they have us set up to like be prepared up until the like last second we're on the field, which is really nice. So I think they've helped with like the heat transition really well. They have a lot of resources for us.
Yeah. Well, how about like culturally and like, like the people, I assume people probably dress much nicer in the South. Everyone's always probably dressed to the nines. Have you found culturally people are different, nicer, not as nice, more attitude? Yeah.
This is so funny. The main thing that all of us Northerners have noticed is the speed that things get done. You go out to eat, and I feel like everyone, like in DC, or I guess also in New York, like things are always so fast. Like no one's patient. Like things just get done. And there's so much like hospitality and like take it slow and easy. And like I noticed it so quickly. Like it's just like the funniest of things. Like in Starbucks, like when I go to at home, they're like flying. And people at Starbucks here like super sweet. They're just taking their sweet time. Like
even like driving.
Oh yeah, everyone here drives like 5 miles an hour under. You can tell who's from here and who's not, like without even seeing their license plate.
Yeah, I don't even have to look anymore.
I'm like, oh no, someone from around here. Like going like 20 into 35. Terrible.
How about the guys? Is there more chivalry? Do people open doors, or is culturally are things different, or have you noticed?
I feel like you can notice the difference between guys at school, like in the way they dress for sure. Like guys at home don't really wear polos. It's very popular here for guys to like dress nicer.
Khaki shorts.
Yeah, the khaki shorts, the polos. It's very like preppy, which I'm not like at home. No one dressed like that. Like unless you went to private school and had to. So like it's very interesting to see that. Like
guys are bummy at Yorktown. Sorry.
Guys are bummy at Yorktown.
But like even colleges like where I'm from, like frats are not a big thing. Like where I'm from, sororities are not a big thing.
Yeah, that's a huge adjustment.
And we've been living here since June, so we haven't really seen like many people. And then like one day I just see like literally a huge group of women just dressed in the same thing marching down the street. Like how am I supposed to react to that? I'm like not used to this.
Yeah, it was so quiet all summer long.
Yeah.
Like Columbia is a very like college town, so like when the students aren't here, like it's really mellow, like slow. And then the sororities started coming into town, and like they live right down the street from us. Like our apartment is like less than a minute, from the sorority houses, and they all started to come to prepare, and we were all shocked because they all dress like very nice all the time.
It's huge here.
It's huge, and we were just like in our tropical smoothie next to them, looking very different in our practice uniforms. It was quite funny actually.
Well, it's too warm to have your pajama pants on, Shae, so you can't have those on yet, right?
We actually
we still do.
keep our room very cold.
Mhm.
Personal choice. And I wear my Yorktown soccer pants
She
every
does.
day.
She does.
You can attest to it. Just
I
walk
mean,
around the room.
O'Rourke, it's a Yorktown thing. Everyone wears like their pajama pants around like to practice, and like it's just it's a very weird thing that we have. But I don't know if you guys do the same thing. Well, have you guys been able to make friends outside the soccer team yet, or are most of your friends also athletes and soccer players?
I think more of the friends are from the athletes, especially the men's soccer team. We've gotten really close with them this summer. I've also met girls in class, but like I don't really hang out with them out of the school environment. But like I have made friends like other than athletes, but for sure our friends have been mostly like our team and like some other like athletic groups too.
Yeah, we're definitely friends with boys soccer. Like we go to their games, they come to ours, like we have a great relationship. And I think we're also in the hall with basketball and we like interact with them a lot and like say hi in the hallways and stuff. And there's a couple freshmen that we're friends with. So that's cool. But yeah, we're mostly friends with athletes just because a lot of us, like we have a like student athlete like dining and like a smaller version like underneath our building. So it's just kind of a mixing pot of athletes and you just like, you're like, oh, like running into people, you know, that type of thing. But yeah, I've definitely also made friends outside. It's just harder because we're in season to like be on the same wavelength as them with like, because I know most college students right now are like kind of like getting their wild out, you know, and we're very much like in season in bed. Like, so I think like in our off season, like we'll be able to get out and be more social and meet more people. It's just right now we're like super busy. I think that makes it difficult.
So in your dorm, it's mostly athletes in where you guys live?
Yeah, our student athlete building or our dorm building is like majority student athletes, and there's also some honors college students in here now because they've changed over.
Okay, so it probably takes effort to be friends with someone who's not an athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially because you guys are from up north, you probably don't have lots of high school classmates that are going. So you know the people that you're going to meet probably have the same interest you guys have. So
yeah, like they'll be like, see you tonight, and I'm be like, I'm going to bed tonight. Like
it might be Friday, but it's bedtime.
Yeah. Well, do you guys ever wonder what life would be like if you weren't soccer players? Like, for example, my son who's at UVA, he's not playing soccer, so you know he's got lots of free time to get work done, and I mean his whole life he spent all his time playing soccer, going to practice, going to training, going weekend games. Club, high school, both. But all of a sudden, he's got a lot of free time to do other things, meet people. Do you guys ever look at the regular students and like, man, that wouldn't be a bad gig?
I think there's definitely phases. Like, of course, like in that first week of school, like Columbia was crazy. Like everyone was just like going out all the time and like making, you could tell like it was just like a lot of social events going on. I think then we were kind of like, like we want to meet people. But I also think, and I look at the opposite, I'm like, if I wasn't playing soccer every day, I would be crazy. Like I can imagine myself like at school and like looking around and being like, oh yeah, there's a women's soccer team and like being okay with that. And like I think that I just like think I couldn't outweigh the two.
Yeah.
I think I've just been on like that wavelength my whole entire life, like soccer, school, my friends from the team. Like it's always like I've always been like the most close with my team. And I think, yeah, like the first week it stinks. Like everyone's meeting each other and we're stuck in bed. Like, but like at least we have like each other to like do the same stuff with. Like it's not just you doing it alone. And I think soccer is the one thing we all can go to that like makes us who we are.
Yeah. I also think the spring, we know we have a lot, like winter and spring, we have a lot more free time. And like, I just think that like once we go through a full year, we'll realize like there's a perfect balance. Because like right now, of course, it's like go soccer, like go school. But like there's actually a really good balance like with the off season too. So I think that like in the end, like we're gonna be like right now is the hard part.
Well, last time I talked to Shay Montgomery, she was just starting summer session. Do you guys think that's a good idea for you guys to get down there early, start, you know, get some credit hours in the bank, start your practicing? Was that a good experience this summer?
Definitely, for sure, because I mean, like I said, like getting used to the heat and like meeting the girls before the season actually starts will just allow you to be a better team, not just on the field, but off the field. Because if you don't have it off the field, it's not going to work on the field. So I think it will help in the end to get you like prepared for college, because freshman year is never easy, I don't think, for anyone. So just having that, like the summer, like it's way more chill than like the fall, but having that will honestly just help us prepare for the fall.
Yeah, I agree. I think I couldn't imagine like coming in August 1st and starting preseason, meeting the girls, meeting the coaches, like getting fit, like everything all at once. It was so nice to have it like meet the girls, get fit, get used to the heat, and then start preseason with coaches. Like it was like nice to have that separate transition. I think it made it a lot easier. Couldn't imagine the stress.
Was it hard to miss high school beach week though, Shae? Because you,
Yeah,
guess
I mean,
yeah.
that was sad. That was definitely sad, but I think we had a lot of fun over the summer, and it was like I was almost caught up so much in like meeting all these new people, and like a lot of the other athletes came in too, so we were meeting them as well. And I think it just like was like, okay, like that's gonna happen. Like I've missed a lot of stuff for soccer all my life, like homecomings and like stuff like that. So like a week at the beach like wasn't new.
Yeah. So the summer session, do the upperclassmen go also? So, or is it just the freshmen that are playing in the summertime?
Oh, well, the freshmen come a week before to get like blood work done, EKGs, move in, do all the like medical stuff. And then the week after, the whole team comes. Just because like we have to have like a week to like prepare the things that they already did like previously. So that's usually how it works.
Yeah.
So let's go to the soccer itself. What's been the big adjustment? I mean, in terms of the practices, the physicality of the game, the speed of play, what's been some of the adjustments that you guys had to experience playing college, big time college soccer?
I think the two biggest things is just the like speed of play in games. I mean, at practice, I was able to get used to it, but like the intensity and speed of play in games is a different level. And I also just think like the intense environment of like college soccer as a whole was just like, it was crazy to first, like just like the first couple of games we played in too were also like very big games against very big teams. And I think that was just a shock factor. And like overall like speed of play, biggest one by far for me.
Right.
I think for me, I'm normally a center forward. I've been playing left forward, right forward, even like playing a two front. I think it's just adjusting to new things and even like defensive work that I'm not used to. Because in college soccer, these girls can run 10 times faster than club. They can do moves 10 times better than girls in club. Like we're playing in the SEC. Like you just don't notice that big shift that like everyone's the same. Like everyone is a good player. And if you don't defend, it's gonna lead to like disaster in the back. Like even if you're a forward. So I think that was like the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, that was definitely a huge thing for me as well. Like just team defending. Like there's a lot more thought put into team defending than at a club and high school level. Like it is something we work on like at least twice a week.
Yeah. Well, in high school, you guys are, very special players. Gatorade Player of the Year is always, amongst the best players on your team in your area. And then you guys played All-Star, ECNL All-Stars or whatever. Is that similar, or is it even a step higher than like an All-Star because you're playing against older players? Is it, even a step higher than playing against a national type pool that you guys experienced?
I think it's a step higher just because the girls have experience. The older girls have experience in college soccer, and we're such a young team now that I think it's just like a whole learning environment for all of us. And honestly, it's the age. It's the age, the experience, everything.
I think also just like when you play in those like all-star games, there's like it's more just like individual talent and like less of like a team aspect going on. There's just we plan so much. Like I didn't come in realizing how much like we like go over film of our team, of other teams, formations. Like there's so much like thought put behind every single thing we do, and I think that just adds another level of complexity to the game.
Yeah. So, O'Rourke, I think you've scored, I believe, 2 goals this year, and Shae Montgomery's gotten close to some goals, but you guys scored so many goals at the high school and club level. Do you miss, the fact that getting 2 or 3 goals in one game wasn't a big deal for you guys just 6 months ago, but now, I mean, when you score a goal, it's like the greatest feeling. Do you miss that when it's easier to score goals?
I definitely miss it because I'm a forward, I crave goals. That's what I do. That's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And the first couple games, I'm like, I'm not scoring. Like, this is weird. Like, I'm always like the girl on my team, like, oh, she scores. Like, she's a scorer. And like Shelly's mentioned that before. And I feel like now it's just like when I got my first goal, I was just like, oh my God, I scored. Like, it's college soccer now.
Yeah.
And I feel like every time you score, it's like a gold medal for me because you don't get it as often as you think you will.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also just like the goalies at this level are like amazing. Like every single goalie we played has been so good. Like I feel like a lot of times there's like teams where there's like they're a really good team, they don't always see the best goalie or like that type of thing, or they have a really good goalie but like not the best team, and like it's really hard to get a mixture of the two. And I think that's not an issue on college soccer. Like every team is really good defensively, every team has a good goalie, so it's like there's no like room for error, if that makes sense.
So you have to be creative and get that moment of magic, but you also got to have a very nice strike. I mean, you're not gonna be able to beat someone and just dribble it in. It's got to be a nice strike to score a goal at the college level.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because if you don't strike it, it's just someone's gonna block it. Someone's gonna save it. So
yeah. I think it's also a lot more like just like gritty goals. I feel like college soccer, it's less about like having a pretty fancy goal and more about just like, for lack of better words, just throwing yourself in front of the ball to get in the back of the net.
Especially when you're playing like other highly ranked teams, like their defense is going to be good. Both ends of the ball are going to be good. It's like who wants it more and who will like take that extra step to get the goal.
Yeah. Well, how about the physicality of the game? Is the game more physical, or are there elbows being thrown? Are people pushing up there? Are they talking trash on the field? Is the game more physical, and I don't want to say dirty, but just more aggressive than it was in high school and club?
Well, I feel like it's you can tell. Okay, this is how I put it. Players are stronger, but it's less physical than I expected.
Interesting.
We've been having a lot of refs that call pretty much anything. I don't know if they think like because they're reffing a women's sport, they need to like make more calls or something, but like it's like you do much physicality or like too much, like we've been getting called for, like definitely depending on the ref, but like in our past 2 games we've had like whistle crazy refs, so I think that was also part of it. But yeah, I mean, you have to be very smart. Like you don't get away with dirty play like at all. Like I feel like at high school level and club level, like a lot of people got away with dirty like plays and like stuff like that with just like inexperienced reffing. But I feel like now like the refs like very much cut down on it.
Yeah, I agree with the point. I think it's less physical in a way because I think a lot of girls have been taught in college, flop, get that extra ball. Like we need that set piece. Like, cause we said gritty goals, like those set pieces, the corners, everything. If you're in you're like the other opposing half, you want to get that set piece goal. So, I mean, personally, like me, like I've always been like a super physical player. So I feel like every time I hit someone, people just like flop and I'm like, oh my God. And then it's called and everything.
Yeah, it's definitely like strategic physicality. Like you have to know, like it's very much, you can definitely tell people are stronger. Like just like, I feel like I've gotten so much stronger, like just being here, like lifting and like just like how much work we do, like definitely gotten stronger, but I feel like it's much more strategic. Like you can't be blatant with hits or anything like that.
I also think like college soccer girls are like so much better at heading the ball, getting in those like I think like tackles. I think like college players are a lot better at like poking the ball, getting those headers, but I don't think it's necessarily like physical. I think it's just like who wants to get to the ball first.
Yeah,
it's not like bouncing that.
It's less like pushing and more like really clearly stronger tackles, and like tackles are a lot stronger. Like people are just a lot faster to like get to the ball, win the ball. Like people are like ruthless in the air. Like that's a big one. But like, yeah.
Well, is there something that you would have done or you could have done when you're training in high school or when you're playing for your club that would have helped you now, or when you look back, are there things you could have done that could have better prepared you for college soccer? I
think personally, like I've never really got called for being too gritty, like trying to get people off the ball. Like I feel like I've never really been called, and I think first defending is like a huge like word used in especially our team. You don't always have to like attack the ball. You just like you can always just force a player to one side and then your team will help you. And I think like in club soccer is always like who will get the ball, who will push the girl off the ball, who will compete. And I think it's more of like a team game now of like
I think
you can do this to lead to help your other teammate.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think like working on first defending it's definitely like a specific art of like knowing how to like not like stall a player, but like keep them where you want them, keep them to a side, like especially when we press, like we try to seal the field to one side type of thing. I think first defending and just like first defending is definitely the biggest one. I feel like outside of that, like defending is the hardest thing.
Well, you talked a little about first defending. That's the phrase I'm not familiar with. But how about, is the game tactically more complicated at the college level than it is at the high school and club level? I mean, have you guys had to learn a lot? You had to think more on the field. It actually might make you a little bit more hesitant because you have to be more cerebral. Whereas maybe in high school and club, you can just react and go for it.
Well, like this time, like each team is different. Each team does things differently, and every time we have to watch film. We even like have changed our formation, like depending on the certain team. We had to have certain players on certain players on the other team. So I think it's like each team is different and your role is different. So learning like those aspects of the game is very different from club to college.
The film, it's like so much more tactical. Like you really think through every decision you're making when you go into a game. Like you have a game plan. Like you were saying, it's a lot less like just free flowing, like do what you want. Like you have to like think about what you're doing when you're doing things. Like definitely more so on defense than on offense. But like there's definitely, you go into scout and like this girl does this certain times. Like you need to do this with this. Like it's very specific. Like there's a lot more like thought process.
Yeah. Is it weird not knowing who you're playing against? Like, for example, Shay Montgomery, when she played at Yorktown, she knew almost every girl, all the teams you played against because you'd seen them all your life in club and whatever. But now you're playing against players from all over the country, different age groups as well. Is it weird playing against like total strangers?
Yeah, I think definitely just because like we just finished high school and everyone was so familiar. But it's always weird like when you see players like that. Like I knew a lot of people on Virginia Tech, like that was weird. And I think it's like stuff like that. It's like it's a small circle within the big circle type things. Like it's definitely weird playing against strangers. Almost nice in a way. I think it's like sometimes it's annoying to like play the same player like repetitively over and over again for like 7 years of your life. And so it's kind of nice to like mix it up, like play new people. But I think it's cool when you see people like on other teams.
Yeah, like where I'm from, we end with ECNL and our high school seasons in the fall. So it's a lot different because I'm going in at like ECNL, you play like teams change like every year, new teams are added. So I don't think it was like that big of a change for me personally. But it is weird seeing your old teammates on another team that you are like playing against. I think that's just the hardest part because I was so close with my team that like it's weird seeing like one of my best friends on the other team playing against me.
Yeah. Well, is it nice only having one team to worry about? Like, it's a common dilemma when you're young, you're playing in your club, you're always being pulled between your high school and your club. Hopefully like Shae O'Rourke, you have it so your high school's in the fall, your club's in the spring. But the way it is often, it's always a conflict. Is it nice just having one team you can really focus on, one coach, what for you guys, one set of coaches that you can really have to listen to?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I do miss the aspect of like having two teams. Like that was always fun, but I think it's like very much of a family aspect here. Like you just like you do everything with the team all the time. Like you're with everyone all the time, and I think it's nice. It's very routine. Like our days are very structured, so I like it.
I mean, I do agree with her. Like I do miss having the two sets of girls teams because we're huge on like the friendships of teams, but I do think it's easier for a team to change and like grow when we're just focused on one goal, one team, and how the coaches coach. So I think it will help the team even be better in the spring and even more years on.
Well, you guys couldn't have gotten off to a much better start. You guys were undefeated through your first, I think, 6 or 7 college games, maybe it was 8, but a lot. And then you end up losing to Alabama. What was that like to actually lose a game? Was it heartbreaking, or just like, well, this is sometimes you lose?
Definitely, I always take losing personal. So that it's always personal for me. It'll always make me mad. Definitely was not a fun experience at all, but I think it is a blessing in disguise. I think our team not got too comfortable, but I think when you win a lot of games in a row or you're undefeated, that type of thing, like it's easy to feel like at ease with what you're doing. And I think it's just a good point in the season at the start of SEC play to like get everybody riled up, like get everybody like ready to go, like make the changes we need to make. Like I think we learned a lot about ourselves like with that loss, and I think it came at a really good time. I don't think it could have come at a better time, to be honest.
I mean, I think that like overall, like I take losses more in college just because I'm in like a certain time. I'm doing like I feel like I didn't do enough in the time that I was in the game. So it's just like I didn't like as like a forward, I was like, okay, 2-0. I didn't score a goal. I could have impacted the team more. And I feel like it just means more on this college team just because they brought me here to make an impact. And if I didn't, it just like I'm like, I could have done something more. But I do agree with Shae. I'm like, I think this is the perfect time to, change our perspective, change the way we're playing, because we're going to play like even better teams or just as good team.
Yeah. Well, what are road trips like? It must be fun. I mean, do you guys fly or you take a bus, or what are they like? Is it fun, lots of bonding, or are folks having like study, during trips? So it's kind of, business.
You want to go?
Sure. I mean, it is more business for sure. When we're traveling to closer states, it's a lot different. Like you drive up the night before, you go to bed right away. You wake up, you go play soccer for a little bit, go home, study, and then it's game time. And then you go home right after. Whether like when we were flying, it was like a lot more downtime. We couldn't really go anywhere because we don't have cars. It's just like, it's a lot different, but on the flying trips, it's a lot on your body, I think, compared to like a little short trip.
Yeah, I agree. I think for flying, like when we went to Vermont and Yukon, like that whole flight situation was rough, but I do like how much more, like we had more time to just like hang out in the hotel. Like that was definitely team bonding. Like, and we did a lot of that more activities on those trips because we just had like more random time, like in between games. But yeah, I do like how concise they make our like bus trips. Like they plan it out very well. Like just like missing the least amount of class. Like it's that I appreciate because the amount of class you miss in season is a lot.
Yeah. What about social media? So, when I was in college and playing sports back in the Stone Age, there was no social media. You didn't like, as a basketball guy nowadays, guys make a great play, they tweet it, dunk over someone, embarrass someone. Everything's about the social media highlight. What is the social media scene for women's soccer players? I've seen you guys both have great Instagram pages. You guys have a lot of fun, very glamorous. But is it the same thing? Do athletes try to get followings? Is it a lot of fun, or do you guys kind of keep that separate from your personal life?
Yeah, I think obviously doing stuff on social media would definitely be cool. Like it's like crossed my mind at times to like actually like try to do stuff on social media and like make a business out of it almost. But I feel like right now I'm just in season. That's just like a lot to think about. But our social media is like super awesome. Like we have a lot of followers on our like Gamecocks like Instagram, like women's soccer. Like that's super cool. Just like the pictures and stuff. Like that's been awesome. So.
Yeah.
I think social media definitely helps a team grow, like especially nowadays, like especially women's soccer. Like we've grown that following a lot since the last year, and I think it's helped younger women like want to maybe be involved in our club or like team. Mm-hmm. And personally, I love social media. I'm stuck on my phone like all the time, but I don't know. I haven't really used it yet. I think I will once I'm used to the whole process, but I think it's great for college athletes to use to get their name out there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, well, you guys, again, you guys are a lot of fun on social media. And as you know, there's like this NIL going on, and athletes are able to make money off their name, image, and likeness. So it's kind of a blending now of social media, professional athletics, and also college. So it's kind of all blending together. So it's almost like there is opportunities for people to get a following, and then you're on TV, and then you're tweeting. So I would think, and I think Shay Montgomery kind of alluded to this, I could think it could be kind of distracting, but yet a great opportunity as well.
Yeah, it's definitely like a great opportunity. Like I've thought we know people that have done it. Like you see it online, like you're like, oh, like so and so plays for that team doing this, and like people like other athletes like at the school like are really involved in social media. I think it's honestly something that you build with time. Like obviously you have to like kind of build a name for yourself in the sport at the school first before you like build brand deals and things like that with people.
Yeah.
I think eventually we will get more into social media, but I think like since it was our first year, we just wanted to focus on like the most important things, and I don't think necessarily social media is important right now for us. And I'll like we're growing like each year. We'll hopefully we'll become better soccer players and like get our name out there, because honestly, having your name out there will only help you go further in soccer. And that's just how it is,
Yeah, exactly. Well, the NIL stuff, if you guys heard a lot about it, though, is this something that comes up with like the athletes, and is this something you guys talk about?
Yeah, I feel like there's like people that have talked to us about it like at the school, and like we've of course talked about it like with each other, and like it's definitely interesting when you see people doing it. It feels very far-fetched at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're freshmen, like our names aren't out there yet. Like we're trying to make an impact, and I feel like once we get through that bridge, I think it'll be easier to get those NIL deals. People are going to be wanting to be like more interested in like our name and what we're trying to prove and do, and it only comes with time, like Shae said.
Yeah, exactly. Before I want to let you guys talk about who you guys miss back home, so you can give your parents a shout out. But I forgot to ask about your coaches. How's it going with Coach Smith and her husband? Has it been a good transition to a new coach? And what are some of the things you guys have learned already?
It's been awesome. I feel like Jamie, her assistant coach, is so like tactically smart, especially defensively. Like he works a lot of our film stuff, and like I feel like I've learned a lot, like so much like positioning and just like logic behind like my decisions from him, and like he just like knows exactly what to do like for each team, and that's been really impressive. And I think like Shelly, like we work with her a lot on like offensive stuff, and we split offense defense. Like we're working with her, and like she just has so much to give and share, and like she's also such an amazing role model. Like we see her like speaking, and like we watched her get recognized at her previous college. She played at Vermont, and like we saw her get recognized there, and like that was awesome. And she's just like an amazing person overall.
I think it's the perfect balance between good cop and bad cop. Like you got the down to earth Coach Shelly, like who's always just like and then you got Jamie, who just wants everything out of you, like grit. He wants competitiveness, and I think that he'll be yelling at you at times, but then we got the good cop, be like, it's okay, you got it. Like I think it's like the perfect balance, because if you have one and not the other, I think it's just like a hard environment to work in. But I think they're like the perfect ratio for each other.
Yeah, that's great.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, look, I hope I can make you guys cry here, but why don't we talk a little bit about your family? Do you guys miss home? Like this weekend, I was down in Charlottesville, and I took my son to a football game, and we sat there and we talked, and it was just really, I saw him all the time, all these years, and I guess I kind of took it for granted. And we just had the most adult conversations, ever. And it was just wonderful going to a game, going to dinner with them. Do you guys think a lot about your family? Do you ever think ahead to the holidays back home when you're going to, do, Christmas time at home or holidays at home? So let's talk about your family and, who you miss at home.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like over the summer, I was like free woman, like so excited to like be at college, and like of course like everyone when they like first get there, especially with all the freedom this summer, like so exciting. And like as the year went on, like preseason was super tough, and like we like had that little 10-day break like after the summer before preseason, so that was really nice. But then once you kind of got back into the season, like I was like, oh, like I like miss my family and like my dog and stuff and my siblings. But it's been really nice to have our like the support system that South Carolina has, it's called Familia FC. It's like a parent and like supporter group that is run by our captain, Jalissa Harris's dad. And he runs these like awesome tailgates before home games and like even a lot of away games, and like the parents will like fly in together and like carpool and come to our games. So like it's super awesome. They have this whole event like before, and like they do a lot of stuff. And so like before games, like I'll go, like my parents will come in. They've come to a lot of them, like maybe not both at once, but like they've come to a lot, and they'll like be there and we can like talk to them before, and like I'll see them for the weekend. I'll take us out for dinner like that. I think I'll see them more in season than I will in the spring, just because they're here for so many games. And like, for instance, my dad's coming down for Georgia, so I'll probably see him. I always get lunch with him when he's down, and then dinner. And our parents in our room are all really good friends, and they like make us dinner. We'll all go out to dinner together, and like it's been super good. There's definitely been times where I'm like calling my sister, like she came up for NC State, which my birthday was the next day, and she gave me a gift, and like that was so emotional. I was like, because I hadn't seen her, like she can't come up most of the time with school, so, and the soccer and stuff, so it's been nice to see her. I haven't seen my little brother in a while, but he doesn't miss me.
Yeah, you were probably his tyrant all these years, you know, the oldest sister.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I definitely miss where I'm from. Like, I am a homebody, you know, but I also do love living on my own. Like, I think it's been like such a cool experience, like, especially without your parents, because I'm such like an independent person. So I've never like really needed my family, but like now, like even more, like you realize that you kind of do need them in like every aspect of life. Like even like mom, what medicine should I take? Like stupid stuff like that, like stupid grocery stuff. And you just like realize like how much they've done for you, because like, not saying I wasn't grateful with before, but it's definitely like made me realize that my parents have done so much more than I ever thought like they did. Yeah. And I definitely miss like the food at home and buffalo wings, of course. But I just, you know, it is nice to go home sometimes, and it also is to go away. But like she said, like we get to see our parents more than we thought we would in general. Like these tailgates, they go hard.
They go crazy. My dad loves the tailgates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think another big aspect is I have seen so many of my friends, and I don't think my friends have been seeing each other, but it's super awesome. Like we went to Virginia Tech, I saw a bunch of people. Like I'm going to Georgia, I'm going to see a bunch of people. Like when we travel, like my friends will come from the school and like come watch the game, and like that's been super awesome. Like I saw friends in Alabama too, and I think that like a lot of like outside of that, like my friends can't really see each other right now, and so like that's been nice. Like I'm almost going on a little road trip and like seeing people and being like, oh, like hi, like I miss you, like so like honestly unexpected win on that one.
Yeah. Well, Craig, Shay Montgomery's dad says that your parents are wonderful, Shae O'Rourke. So he says he has a good time. So
our best friends.
Yeah, he did a good imitation. I think it was Shay's mom. He did a good imitation of hers. The buffalo accent. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I didn't know there was one, but I guess there is.
He's my son apparently. So.
Yeah. So, well, last question: are there any friends that you've been surprised that you missed? I mean, you know, it's funny. When I went down to UVA, because I went to UVA as well, and it brought back so many memories when I was first year, and the people that I missed, the things that I missed. Like I just missed high school football so bad when I was in college. Just I don't know why. I guess my friends were playing and the games meant so much, and I never really was attached to the UVA football team. I never felt that, but the high school team was everything. So I just missed the game so much, and I tried to sneak back when I could. Are there things about your high school experience and your friends that you've missed, and maybe even surprised you that you missed them so much?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like for sure. Like I had such a small friend group in high school, and we got so close, like so close. And like right at the end, I was the first to leave, you know, and then my other friend went to college soccer. Like it was like every person left one by one.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like, it's crazy to seem like, yeah, I created like one of the best friendships I had like in college. Like my roommates, like they're probably my best friends, you know, but you also have that other side like of best friends that like you just become so close, and then you just go off to college. It's just like, you don't realize how much like they've done for you and how much like they're important to you. Because we do like stay in contact with them for sure, because we're gonna go home and it's gonna be so fun. Like we have like 2 separate lives, which is so nice.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think obviously like I made like my best, like our freshman class tight as ever, but like there's definitely something to be said about like childhood friendships, and like all my friends from home like I've known since kindergarten. I think it's just really weird to like see them living their own life and you're living your own life, and it's just I'm excited for December. I am sad that I'm like Thanksgiving, like we won't be home, so like that's the bummer, of course, but I think that it'll be exciting to see everybody. It definitely like puts it into reality. Like I also was the first to leave, and it was like this big emotional mess, and everyone was like, whatever, like, you know, having the reality check alongside with me. So I think that was definitely something. But yeah, friendships at home. Miss them.
So I'm going to really age myself now, but when I was in college, we didn't have phones in our room. We could have, but we chose not to. So we had a pay phone in the basement. And of course we didn't have cell phones. They didn't exist. And we had to write letters to people. So when we went to college, I mean, we didn't see our friends at all until breaks. So it was complete separation. And in some regard, you didn't reconnect with your friends until reunions. And then later on, Facebook and Instagram became a thing, the late 2000s. And now, we're connected with all our high school friends. But you'd go to college and you lose track of everything. So at least I assume you guys could do some FaceTiming and some social media stuff to stay in touch with your friends.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, they post things about their life. We post things about our life. We FaceTime, we text. Like, I feel like it just helps us like know that they're like doing something, we're doing something, and like at the end we'll all just go home to each other. So I think it like social media and like having phones like definitely have let us like keep those friendships like as strong as they were at home.
Yeah, I agree. I also think like it's funny the overlap. Like my best friends from home know everyone's names like on the team and in the room and like what's going on, and like they know about all my friends at home and like everything. It's like nice that like you can like show pictures and like like they can meet each other over FaceTime type of thing.
Reminisce.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah. Well, look, Shay Montgomery, I always love talking to you. You're awesome, and I'm just so happy for your success. I love following you. And Shae O'Rourke, it's great to meet you. You're a great player. I know you're going to do wonderful things. I'd love to keep in touch with you guys. Maybe do this again in the spring, catch up with you guys, see how you guys are doing. But it's great. I could, because of all the college games are online now, it's so easy to watch everything. So hopefully you guys can, bounce back from the Alabama game and, just continue to have a tremendous year and obviously a great career as well.
Yeah. Yes. Definitely. Thank you so much. I appreciated being on this. It was fun, and we would love to do it again.
Yeah, definitely. Great time.
Yeah. Well, look, again, guys, great. And also good luck in school, and let's definitely keep in touch.
Of course. Thank you so much.
All right.
Anytime. See you guys. All right.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.